I'm going to give you a story here. We're going to talk about critical race theory. I know you guys know all about critical race theory. We have talked about it quite endlessly. This is a horrific set of ideas that implies that the United States founding principles were racism, that things like being on time and working hard and doing your job, that these are somehow white characteristics, which if they are white characteristics, then it seems like white supremacists would be a pretty great bunch of people who would be pretty productive that you'd want to be around. I mean, the whole thing is just backwards nonsense. You all know that, but in some places in the United States, they're actually officially putting it into schools, and in other places in the United States, they're actually getting rid of it. So we've got some quotes here from the Federalist, and this starts us with Washington State. As several states move to ban toxic critical race theory from indoctrinating students, the state of Washington is leaning in. The race-obsessed framework isn't relegated to schools in Seattle, where you'd expect a victim-centered ideology like critical race theory to flourish. Thanks to the state's Democrat-controlled legislature, a trio of bills just signed into law mandates critical race theory training for all public school teachers. Another even requires training for medical students, teaching them that it's essential to be social justice activists as it is to treat patients. Staffers learn that black people cannot be racist because they don't have power, that whites benefit from white privilege even if they experience high poverty, and that virtually every American institution is founded in white supremacy. Okay, so Washington, you're not a good place. I say that with all due irony. I'm here in California, not a good place either. But understand that systemic racism, the stuff that Joe Biden was talking about in story number one that doesn't really exist, they are the ones putting it into the system. They are going to train a generation of young people through training a generation of teachers that somehow black people can't be racist. I mean, Jamel Hill is a racist. All of the people pushing critical race theory are racist, right? We know this. You can be a racist. I don't care what your skin color is. I don't care for these semantic games that they want to play. If you're a black person and you want white people to be treated differently under the law, and you don't like white people just because of the color of their skin, you're a racist. And same goes, if you're a white person and you don't want black people or whatever it is, you're a racist too. Like, stop playing these, we're all playing these ridiculous semantic games with these people who would never afford us the opportunity to be wide in our thoughts. But we're supposed to always give them the absolute benefit of the doubt. Then I saw this morning that Randy Weingarten, who's the head of the teachers union, and this woman is just completely bananas. If you don't think she's bananas, go look at her Twitter flag. Her avatar is the flag. It's the trans flag with the black and brown flag on top of it, and another flag on top of it, and a flag on top of that. The woman believes in everything. And when you believe in everything, you actually believe in nothing. Can you guys tell I'm caffeinated this morning? Well, I saw a tweet from her where she tweets out an article by the ACLU claiming that right-wingers are trying to stop people from learning about racism in schools, and it's just a complete lie. It's not that right-wingers are stopping anyone from teaching racism in school. If you go to any public school, you learn about slavery, you learn about the history of America, you learn all of those things. I've never heard a conservative person or a crazy right-winger say we can't talk about racism, or we can't talk about slavery, or we can't have an honest assessment of the history of the United States. What they're trying to ban is critical race theory, which is race essentialism in schools, which is telling white people that they are less while telling black people that they are more. This is the reverse of that Martin Luther King thing. I know you know it already. But these people, they're all liars and buffoons, and I don't know what we're supposed to do with them. Anyway, there are some decent people around. Ron DeSantis, who, of course, is the governor of the great state of Florida. Can we reach out to him when I'm there next week? Let's see if we can pull something off. All right, we already have. All right, let's see if I can get a meeting with Governor DeSantis. He is banning critical race theory in Florida, but don't take my word for it. Let's listen to him.
This proposition that we are a systemically racist country. Your reaction?
Well, it's a bunch of horse manure. I mean, give me a break. This country has had more opportunity for more people than any country in the history of the world. And it doesn't matter where you trace your ancestry from. We've had people that have been able to succeed and all. And here's the problem with things like critical race theory that they're peddling. They're basically saying all our institutions are bankrupt. and they're illegitimate. Okay, so how do you have a society if everything in your society is illegitimate? So it's a very harmful ideology, and I would say really a race-based version of a Marxist-type ideology. So we've banned it in our schools here in Florida. We're not going to put any taxpayer dollars to critical race theory, and we want to treat people as individuals, not as members of groups.
God, that is what a decent public servant looks and sounds like. That is someone who does not want a generation of people to be brainwashed. That is someone who wants people to be free and talks about the individual, which is the most fundamental building block that we've got here in the United States. I mean, that is just, please become President Ron DeSantis. Please, let it happen, let it happen. But if you don't think that's enough, I want to actually address one other thing that he says. When he's talking about the institutions, if your point is, and this is their point, that all of the institutions are fundamentally evil and whatever, and by the way, I sort of agree at this point. The institutions are evil, but not because of them being racist. It's because these people have overtaken the institutions, right? Their argument is that all of the institutions, our political institutions, our cultural institutions, all of our businesses, our corporations, their argument is that they're all racist, thus evil. No, they weren't, and they haven't been. They now, as these people have infected the host, right? The alien analogy that I always give, they've taken over the body. They're the ones that have made these things racist, okay? That is the problem.